my very first live broadcast. Very, very first. I'm going to readjust my mic. And get used to this new surrounding and the new interface. Super not used to it. Okay. So I know there's a chat window here somewhere. I don't know where it is. I'm gonna look for it. Where is the chat window? Where is the chat window? Okay. My new friend, Chris Ventura, who has been so awesome at helping me set this up, because I really had no idea, has been coaching me on how to actually navigate software kind of thing. So he's helping me with that. I'm trying to figure out where the chat window is. Okay. Oh! Thank you, Chris. You showed me. All right. I can navigate this. Just let me. Here we go. All right. I have the tiniest screen. I suddenly wish I had duo screens, because that would probably make all of this so much easier. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes, totally working. Oh, hey, Tat. Hi. Thanks for coming by, Tat. Yes, I love Kyle. Kyle is awesome. I love his episodes. Like, they're just so good. Also, because he's kind of one of those people who likes to rummage through things, like at I guess flea markets and secondhand stores, and I'm very much the exact same way. I like to rummage. So when I found Kyle's channel, I was like, shit, man, rummager, fellow rummager, I love this shit. So it was really great for me. Immediately, I watch all of Kyle's stuff now, just because, fellow rummager, I totally get it, man. But yeah, this is really new and kind of weird to me. So, but it's Friday night, and I was supposed to go out with one of my friends, and she kind of bailed on me. So I was like, okay, well, I just kind of want to do comics, because that's all I ever really want to do. Oh, Chris, you don't know Kyle's channel? I could find it. One second. Let me open it up. You go Kyle Rowe, and it's Kyle. Here, I'll just link it. One second. I can do that, right? That's Kyle's channel. So yes, I'm having a beer, and thought I would. Oh, you're begging and boarding. Oh, yeah. That can be kind of like the type of thing that you need, like a little bit of entertainment during. I know when I get into that mode, it takes a while, because I don't know if you're like me, but I like wait to bag and board. So I have like too many things that I probably should have bagged and board like a while ago. And then I'm like, okay, now I got to sit down and do all this. Chris is just having his coffee, and you'll have your beer after you're done bagging and boarding the comics. Yeah, no, I can see why you'd want to do that. I'm not careful enough. I was just telling Chris earlier how I'm kind of the opposite of most people in the sense of comic book. I'm not really a collector in that sense. Like I'm a collector in a small way, like as in like have I'll have floppies that I get signed by people, and I consider those like my things that I really want to hold dear. But in all honesty, I don't go out of my way to buy comics expecting them to appreciate and value. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. Oh, Jack Johnson. Total bro music. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm very much, yeah. I'm very much about I want to read the comics. I want to enjoy them while I'm alive. I'm not so interested in having them be of value later down the road when I'm dead, or even when I'm old. I don't really care. I actually sold off a box of a full run of Cable. I really love Cable. The original run from, geez, I can't even remember the year. It must have been the early 90s. I had no, an entire run of Cable, and I sold it off. They weren't in great condition when I bought them. They weren't collected by me originally, so they weren't in great condition. And so I was just like, okay, I have to start liquidating some of my comics. And the first things to go were like the Marvel comics that weren't in great condition. And my full run of Cable was one of those long boxes of comics. And I think it was just like 1 to 50 or something. I can't even remember. But I was like, okay, I'm going to liquidate these. I'm going to sell them because I literally don't have room to keep them. And that's kind of what ends up happening sometimes, especially if you are somebody who moves around a lot. You know, you just can't keep all the comics, unfortunately. Oh, hey V Matt V. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Chris was saying they make millions of each issue nowadays. Yeah, exactly. They're not worth money in the same way. Unless you can get them signed by somebody, they're not worth money. So it's like, why worry about the whole collector aspect of it? That's not a part of comics anymore. That's not what comics are about anymore, unfortunately. I mean, hell, I wish it was like, oh, I get this limited run. But you know, as somebody who pretty much dwells in independent comics, you know, getting those few comics from independent people like Black Mask and stuff, that makes more sense to me. I like to spend my money there on the independents. Tat says, both have the right idea. I collected books first because of the artist in the story, and then someday I will pass them down to my kids. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it really does depend on what you're collecting. Totally agree. Yeah, Chris, yeah, you're totally like a DC fan. Whereas you can totally tell that I am less of a, yeah, I'm not a huge big two person. I am in a way, but not in others. So, oh, Marvel, yeah. I have I have so many qualms with the big two right now. It's just like, oh, it hurts me. It hurts me. Tat, your problem is you haven't sold the comic book yet, but you have given some out as random acts of kindness. Aww, that is really nice of you. I mean, I don't know. I think anyone giving anything away is awesome. Especially because people are such little stingy bastards nowadays. I'm sorry, but it's true. I didn't get to show you. Okay, so I'm going to make a video either tomorrow or the day after, but I wanted to show this. Oh, I think it's around the back of my computer. One second, just so you guys, I think you'll appreciate this little find that I got. One second. It's like right behind my computer and it's so heavy. Oh my God. Oh Jesus. I can't even lift it with one hand. Oh Christ. So I found this at one of my local junk shops. Look how big it is. And this is the revised edition of this. And as I understand it, there aren't that many of these. And this is really, really funny. It's from my local library, but I found it. Oops. I found it in the junk shop. So the guy who owns the junk shop was like, I didn't even know we had that. He was like, oh my God, where did you even find that? I was like, I found it buried under a bunch of your other shit. He was so sweet. He gave it to me for like a steal. And then, because he knows that I run like a comic book website and have for like many years. And so he gave it to me for a steal. And then he threw in a bunch of comics on top of it. So he gave me a bunch of the, what were they? I can't remember what they were. They were dude that wrote Bone. There were a bunch of his comics. Anyway. A Tat says, if I don't give books and do a sketch of that person's favorite character and send it to him. Oh, okay. Nice. Tat, are you also an artist? Are you also a comic book artist? Oh my God, that thing. Wow, my arms hurt. It's a really heavy book. Chris says he draws a mean stick figure. But Chris, you're a comic book writer, right? So also, might as well just throw it out there, but I found this. I'm going to talk about this in my what I'm currently reading, but I found this week. I used to actually have a copy of this, but check out the back. I know it's backwards, but what the hell? Did Stan Lee actually, I don't think he actually, you know what? It's so lame that he might have had something to do with this. I bought it purely because it's the worst how to draw ever. It's like not how to draw. It's like, hey, can you draw? Draw this and this and this, and then this will come out of it. It's not a how to learn how to draw. It's like if you already know how to draw, you could draw this. It's so stupid. That's That's why I had to get it, because it's so funny. Anyway, dying. Ugh. Are you guys talking about playing music? It's kind of awesome. I also play music, but yeah, I don't much anymore. Yay, Lane! Hey, silent viewers, people who aren't in the chat, I see you. Feel free to say hello in the chat and chit chat. Hey, Sama Hobbies. Sure. Okay, Selma Hobby says, they're getting ready to test pills that stop aging. Surely they can make one to give artistic skills. God, I hope so. If they do have those, give them to me. I mean, I would like to push up my artistic skill as possibly high as it can go. That's the best. Horrible. Best thing I've read today. Thank you. Tat says Stan Lee can't draw, but he is the man. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't want to argue about whether or not Stan Lee is the man. He is the man that owns most of the rights, so. But yeah, he can't draw, and that's why the book is kind of hysterical, because obviously. But I don't know. My personal opinions on Stan Lee, not really. You know, I feel like I shouldn't say anything. I feel like, I'm going to offend too many people. Not that there's a whole bunch of people watching, just like I've read so many things about Stan Lee over the years. Just not going to go there. Maybe eventually, maybe I would have like a whole live stream about let's talk man to man, I mean woman to woman, whatever, about Stan Lee. But I feel like it would just take an entire, I don't know, day to really talk about it. Chris says that he's offended that people are offended. And Tat says, I was in a few bands, but now I really like to draw. Okay. Me too. In the same boat. Also, do you know what else I picked up? Oh God. Okay, this is just gonna end up being me talking about my comics and what I picked up recently, what I'm reading, blah, blah, blah. So I do apologize. This is my first live show, so it might be really boring and annoying. I do apologize. Okay. I have to get off of my seat to get this. Oops. That was me removing the encyclopedia from the stack. I found a copy of this. So I originally read Paul Pope's 100% from the library, because I come from a very small place and you just can't find it. Anyways, it's at the point now where you can't actually just go out and buy a lot of Pope's older material. And when I had read it, it was already kind of old. So I was reading it at the library. So I actually found a trade paperback of 100%. So I was like, okay, I'm totally picking that up because I don't have a copy. The last Pope book I have, I think it's, the One Trick Ripoff. And maybe the Batman Was it year 100, I think? Or is it, what's Pope's? Yeah, it's year 100. Paul Pope's Batman is year 100, which is honestly my favorite Batman. And I have an extensive Batman collection. That being said, I really don't like a lot of the current run of Batman. I'm not really a big fan of much DC as of late, but I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Like, I'm really happy the New 52 is over. Surprise. Tat says, it's all good. I'm doing good. Okay, thank you, Tat. What do you guys like as far as the whole DC universe is going? I realize there's a bit of delay between me speaking and the actual chat. Chris Ventura from Comic Book Frontline says, I think Batman is going well. There was a lot of oversaturation of Batman in the New 52, and now things are calming down. I think that's a fair assessment. I agree. The New 52 bothered me so badly because they wanted John Constantine to be a part of that so badly. And I hated that. I hated it. Fuck, it made me angry. Tat says, Batman's always been one of my favorite books. See, I understand that. Batman, the reason, okay, I had this huge conversation recently about why people like Batman versus Superman. Fuck, who was I talking to? I don't even remember who I was talking to about this subject. But okay, so the reason fantastic and much more popular than Superman is because he's just a normal guy. But he's a normal guy who has lots of money, access to things that nobody else could have access to. Okay, yeah, sure, supernatural, imagined technology, but possible technology. But he's just a guy. Whereas Superman is a fucking alien, right? That's why I could never get behind Superman stories. I've tried to get into Superman, and I just can't. And whenever people present it like that and say, oh, it's because Superman's an alien and blah, 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 I'm like, yeah, that's probably why I can't get into him. At least the X-Men, who really are responsible for getting me into comics. I'm going to be honest. The X-Men is why I got into comics. 100% could be believable to me as a child. I was like, yeah, humans could evolve in a weird way. When I was a child, I could believe that. And, you know, suspended disbelief as an adult. I can still buy that. At least there's some rationale behind it, even if it's ridiculous. But with Superman, he's just an alien, and I couldn't relate to him. He's Superman. He's perfect. You know, he couldn't be humanized. I couldn't deal with him. And although writers have often tried to humanize him, he couldn't be that to me, and I rejected it. Anyway. I don't like Superman. Fuck that guy. Even with fucking, what is it? Lois and Clark, from which I grew up watching when I was a child. Loved it, but still, you know. Let me see. You guys are talking. Chris Ventura says, what makes Superman cool to me is how he was raised and what he chooses to use his superpowers for. He's the Boy Scout that can take over the world at the snap of a finger, but doesn't. That's a really good point, actually. He could be a warlord. He could, but his moral compass tells him that he isn't and can't. His moral compass keeps him from doing that. So yeah, no, that is a good point. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess I could like Superman for thanking him for being decent. No, I can't. I'm sorry. Now I'm just having like all these awful thoughts about people who should be decent and aren't. And I got off into this political tangent in my head. No, I totally know what you're saying. But yeah, being decent morally, not a big selling point for me. Oh. Yeah, I know we're lagging a bit. So Chris is saying the fact that he's an alien doesn't cross his mind. Yeah, okay. And Tat says the X-Men got me into comics too, but my first was the X-Men number 12. That was your first book, was X-Men number 12. That's interesting. So I don't really know X-Men number 12. I mean, I could Google it, but I don't know per se. And which like X-Men, like the actual X-Men title or Uncanny, or you know what I mean? And Chris says, I love X-Men, really happy we may be moving into a better direction now. God, I hope so. Okay, so me and X-Men personally have been at odds for a long time. I actually got really angry after the death of Nightcrawler. Not gonna lie, stopped reading for a while. Like a really long time. I got so aggro that I canceled multiple subscriptions. And I felt like a jerk for doing it, but I was also not happy where a lot of the comic direction was going at the time, and it was costing a lot of money, and that was another big thing. I live in Canada, and comic books are ridiculously expensive. So we have to deal with the price conversion, because comics actually used to have, you could pay for the US price and the Canadian price. Now we just have the US price and then they convert it into Canadian dollars. But that gives the liberty on the comic shop to decide what the US price is. And the US price fluctuates every day. And that's not good right now because the US price is always up. And basically, here in Canada, comic books are unaffordable. I went and bought a comic by one of my friends, someone I interviewed on my channel, Chris Sabella. I just bought his DC comic, which was the Green Lantern and Space Ghost meet each other. It was a one-shot. It was great. And it cost me $7.50. $7.50 for the shittiest, cheapest fucking paper money could buy. And I was shocked. And I didn't even, when I got up to the cash and they asked me for $7.50, I was like, are you kidding me? And they were like, I'm sorry, it's the price exchange. And I was just like, okay, something has to change, or you're not getting money anymore. Like, you're going to go to business if you're charging these prices for floppies. That being said, it was an extended issue. It was thicker than normal, but it was thicker than normal with ads and a fucking preview for another comic, which I didn't have interest in, and pretty much no one reading that comic would have interest in. So I was really angry. I mean, I still bought the comic, but most people would not, is what I'm saying. So, anyways, Canada in comics, not doing very well. It's not okay. It's not okay. Oh, I should be paying attention to my live stream instead of ranting. Let me look. Okay, now you're having your own discussion there, so I'm okay to rant. Fine. Anyway, what was I talking about? The horrible price difference of Canadian comics. Yeah, no, it's a serious issue. Oh, Chris Ventura says, "Welp, then the Frog Queen needs to move to America." And I'm like, yeah, I totally understand. I would never move to America right now. If I was to move to anywhere, I would move to the UK, only because I have far more friends there, and also because, oh my God, you have Trump, and I'll never move there while he's in administration. I value people. All people. So could never ever move there. But still, yeah, it really is shocking how far ahead, I guess, the American dollar has gotten off of, I don't know, the gross negligence of other people, like just the suffering of others. Anyway, I don't like to talk about politics, so I'm not going to. What I would like to talk about is more comics. So, more comics. Oh shit, I have so many comics that I don't know where to start. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about, actually, is, I don't know if you guys know Tom Neely. Tom Neely is an amazing graphic novel artist, and if you don't know him, you'd probably recognize his work with an Image comic called The Humans. The Humans ran on Image. Sorry, that was my phone being annoying. Ran on Image, and it was about, it was kind of like Planet of the Apes meets the Vietnam War. But he's such an amazing artist. Anyway, he did this called The Blot, and another one called The Wolf, and they're they're wordless comics. They have no words. And this is like his more simplified, more cartoony edition. So this is the first one. And then when you read The Wolf, it gets a bit heavier, also wordless. And then his new one is coming out, and you should check out the interview I did with him, though he talks about it really in full. But I keep trying to prepare people for it because I think it's going to be amazing, and I think he should be nominated for an Eisner. I don't know if he will, but from what I've seen, I think that's what's happening, and I think he should be nominated because it'll be the third installment in the series, and it's just so personal and so heavy. And anyways, I keep trying to prepare people for it because that's what I do. Prepare for this comic book. When I originally started my comic book website, I tried to constantly push out new product, be like, hey, this is what's new, this is what's coming up. But it's really hard to do that constantly. Oh, hey, Davis Comics. I just saw your chat. I'm sorry if you already left. Oh, I think he probably already left. I feel bad because I didn't see his chat until now. Anyone who's here who hasn't said hello, please say hello in the chat. I'm sorry. I know I'm blabbering on, but please say hello. I'm totally open to talking and chit-chatting. That's why I'm doing a live thing for the first time. But yeah. Oh, sorry. Chris Ventura says, well, then Frog Queen needs to move to America. Oh, I wonder if my live thing stopped. Nope, it's okay. Just checking. So yeah, I started my website, thefrogqueen.com, like several years ago. And yeah, I used to try to keep up and constantly try to remind people about upcoming comics. Every week, try to be like, this is my pull list. It was exhausting. It's impossible. It was impossible to keep up with because my pull list was huge, for one. And two, it was like this never-ending cycle. I just couldn't keep up with it. Anyway. So I just started dumbing it down a little bit. Because, I have a full-time job. It's hard to do everything all at once, right? So, anyway. But I would really like to know what you guys are reading. So please let me know in the chat. And also, Chris Ventura is going to go live soon. And I'm going to stop broadcasting so that I can watch his live. Chris, I don't remember when you're going to go live. Can you tell me? I'm asking now. I feel like it's like very shortly. Like in a couple minutes, probably. Oh, yeah. So we got like 10 minutes-ish. And then I'm going to pop over to Chris Ventura's site. If you don't know Chris Ventura, check out the chat. He's on Comic Frontline, but he also has his own separate channel, which is awesome. And you should also check out his podcast because he's super knowledgeable. I've only recently discovered Chris, but I started listening to his podcast and everything. And although we don't always agree on everything, like he's super knowledgeable, so I totally appreciate his opinions on everything. Oh, Tat, you're still here. Hey, Tat. I know, I'm blabbering, aren't I? It's so awful. Anyway, I'm going to end this broadcast because it's just getting a little silly at this point. I think I've run out of things to talk about. But I really do appreciate everybody who tuned in for my first live broadcast because I've never done this before. And yeah, I think it's pretty fun. Chris says that he 100% doesn't want people to 100% agree with him. It's boring if everyone just agrees with you. I totally understand. And hopefully I'll try this again sometime. Yeah, I'm just not sure how it'll go over, but yeah, totally we'll try it again sometime. And thank you, Chris, for showing me how to actually do this because I was using the wrong internet browser and there were complications and it wouldn't have gotten accomplished if Chris hadn't told me that I was doing everything wrong. So with that, I think I will sign off and you should go over to Chris Ventura's site. Actually, let me just link that for you. It'll take me 2 seconds. I'm sure you guys have got it, but just in case you don't, there you go. All right, I will see you next time, or in the next video, you know. And of course, as always, read something good.